Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time today to spend your lunch hour with the Imaginet team on our next Teams Live event. Uh, Once again, I'm your host, Jeremiah Walker. My role is the principal consultant and also the practice lead of our business productivity platform team here at Imaginet. And again, we're continuing our series here of these Teams Live events to talk about some of the current topics, engagements, opportunities, and most importantly, solutions that are available to us in this new virtual hybrid workspace on the Microsoft 365 platform. For today's topic, we are going to center on task management and how do we, as deliverers of projects, right? How do we as our team utilize the tools, right? So we'll take a look at best practices from other members of my team here at Imaginet. And most importantly, we'll take a look at a few high-level user personas. And for those user personas and the tasks and activities that they collaborate, engage, and participate in, what is the recommended best practice and path for them within the team's user interface and possibly Office 365 as a whole? So not only will we talk through some topics like that, we'll have a live demo as well. But before we get into specifics of what to expect today, I am joined by a couple of teammates, and I'll take the time to introduce them now. So joining me on today's journey are going to be a couple of teammates that we work very closely with here as part of the business productivity team. Drew McLean will be joining us as a principal consultant from the business productivity team, and Karen Ross will be joining us to represent operations, project delivery, and most importantly, engagement management. And as we work through the deck, our event today is being moderated by Jesse Dick. Jesse is available right now through Q&A. If anybody is having any technical issues, any troubles joining, we do have a live chat being moderated right now by Jesse. So before we get going into agenda and what to expect and some more details, right, we want to make sure that all attendees are in view only. We've disabled cameras and we've also muted microphones. So if you do have a question, please post that in the Q&A. Please feel free to use that anytime during the engagement. That's why we have Jesse here dedicated. Raise your hand, use any of the emojis you feel needed, you feel fit, right? We are trying to have a very engaging and collaborative session. These are live events, right? So we are live in real time. We do want to be as collaborative and as engaging as possible. So please feel free to ask questions. We do have a dedicated Q&A slide at the end that will unmute mics, let Jesse filter in some questions and see. But if there is something that is applicable real time, please don't hesitate to chime in. Also, as one little wrap up as a housekeeping note, everything we're discussing today is being recorded live through Teams. So we'll work with our marketing team here to make sure that every attendee and anybody that did register for the event, again, we're very sensitive to your time, so we appreciate you being here at the beginning, right? If something comes up during the event, we will make sure that this recording is emailed to all registrants, regardless of whether you're able to stay through the duration of the event or not. So with that, let's pick up where we were started down. So introductions, right? My name is Jeremiah Walker, again, principal consultant and practice lead for our business productivity team. We'll run through some more details about who Imaginet is, but most importantly here on the second slide, on the second bullet point, we want to talk about tasks and management of tasks specifically within teams, right? So we're going to throw that over, like we said, to a couple of teammates. They're going to walk us through some day in the life scenarios, managing different tasks, identifying unique roles, and then really here before we get into Q&A, what I think is going to be a highlight of the day is taking a real life look at engagement management's perspective of task management within the Teams platform. So before we get to the fun stuff, let's tackle the much needed marketing background company information. So again, my name is Jeremiah Walker, part of Imaginet as a team. We are a professional services organization, right, that we do provide tailored custom solutions to organizations across North America. We do have locations in Dallas, Texas, and Winnipeg, Manitoba. We do primarily focus on the Microsoft stack. Because of that, we are a 20-time Microsoft Gold partner. We do have a couple of key areas that we do try to focus on here at Imaginet. These are our core pillars of services that we like to refer to. Once again, here on the left, you see our Microsoft consulting services that me and my team are members of. And again, we do provide the full portfolio of services on the Microsoft stack. whether that's custom solutions, upgrades, migrations, best practices, and everybody's favorite ongoing managed support and services. Another key area of focus here at Imaginet is our custom application development solutions team. Again, we have a full dedicated practice that can provide custom solutions for your organization, whether that's mobile-based or web application browser, whatever those systems may be, from designing and implementing through modernization, through full-scale support and ongoing managed services of existing legacy applications or some of the new development solutions that might have been provided here by Imaginet. And last but definitely not least, probably the most important practice here at Imaginet, right, is our analytics team, right? So the analytics team really prides themselves on taking the data, the interactions, right, the behaviors that we develop within our applications and servicing that up as true actionable data for our partners to hopefully improve, identify areas of improvement, and ultimately standardization to make their organization more efficient and a better experience for our customers, hopefully. So not to get too much into the marketing, more than we already have, just here's a highlight of some of our customers that we are currently engaged with. Again, Imaginet is a professional services company, but we do have the opportunity with the way we are structured to provide very high level quality services for a pretty broad portfolio of customers. And that's a real testament to our fundamental beliefs and how we approach Office 365 projects, very business focused and iterative, right? We like to focus on process improvement, identifying clear, measurable goals for us to provide a solution to our customers. A main mantra we believe here is value add to the customer, not as much as creating overly complex solutions. So we really try to partner and learn what is it that the user is experiencing on their journey, whether that's content, task management, publication, right? What is being experienced by the user on their journey on our platform? So that's really how we try to deliver. And like we said, for today, we're focused on one key area, what we would call workload or process improvement area that we would try to really focus on as part of the Office 365 platform. And the tool we have chosen for today's discussion is the Microsoft Teams platform. So with that, I'm going to introduce my teammate, Drew McLean. We're going to turn it over to Drew. You're going to see a brief little blip maybe while we turn the screen over to Drew, because Drew's going to introduce us to some of the typical challenges, right, that we start to experience during the day-to-day management of our tasks. And what's key to me is we started down this journey of planning for this event, how the roles and the activities that we have to execute really help determine what is the best tool and what is the solution that we interact with ultimately, right, to start to manage that task and communicate with our team. So even right now, the task and planning of how do we transfer the presentation and the event over to Drew from myself was something we talked about. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Drew. Hey, Drew, how are you doing? Can you hear me? You picking me up loud and clear? I think we're seeing your screen now on the event, and I see you live. Hey, Drew, how's it going?
Good. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm going to take it from here. I'm going to cover the benefits of tasks and teams. So I'm going to start off with talking about some of the challenges that a lot of organizations are faced when just trying to handle task management. So there's a couple of high-level issues I've seen over the past working with customers. A lot of the times it's just customers in organizations are just not using the right tools that are designed for task management. I've seen people use Excel a lot, relying on emails a lot, using survey-based tools like GoMonkey or GoTo or I think it's called GoMonkey, or SurveyMonkey, sorry. To try and gather feedback. And a lot of those tools weren't really designed for task management. They're tools that people use in their day-to-day lives for a lot of other things. And they can be used in this way, but they just don't really excel at that type of work. When you do start using those types of tools, you will notice that communication on and keeping up to date on your progress of those tasks is really difficult. So if you're emailing an Excel document around, getting people to update that Excel document or just emailing things back and forth, there's going to be a lot of delays in getting feedback on those tasks, which are complete, which are done. There's no real point of truth, right? There's no central repository where all these tasks are. If you're relying on all these different types of applications, you're hunting around for that Excel document or that email that somebody sent to you when you're signing in for the day, trying to figure out what is the most important things you need to do that day. It's really difficult because you just don't have that view and you're spending most of your time hunting around, reacting instead of planning. And a lot of the issues that comes from using the wrong tools causes delayed feedback. Organizations could be completing tasks a lot quicker, a lot sooner, if you're staying up to date on the progress, making sure that you are hearing feedback from your coworkers and the people working on those tasks in the most up-to-date manner. I know here at Imaginet, before we started using these tools, a lot of organizations like us used to do weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings where you're meeting with the project team to go over the tasks. Someone's sharing an Excel document, someone's sharing a project file, right? Everyone's giving their feedback. That's causing a really long delay between when a task was assigned and when you're actually getting feedback on the progression of it. And if there was an issue that happened during that time in between those recurring meetings, then you're not really actioning any of those issues and trying to resolve them as quickly as possible. So that's just kind of to set the stage of the typical challenges I see. I'm going to run into a demo in a minute, but before I do that, I want to set the stage and introduce you to a couple, 3 different people. So first, throughout the demo, I'm going to be logging in as these different people. So first, Nestor is going to take the role of operations. He's in charge of pushing out tasks to multiple groups. This is a retail-based organization that has stores in all sorts of different regions. So he needs a way to quickly push those tasks out to those different stores, make sure they're receiving them. He wants to, once he's pushed out these expectations, he wants to be able to track the progress of all those tasks and projects that he's sending out to all the stores in an easy to review and consume manner. Next, we have Adele. So Adele's a retail manager. She's going to take the role of a store manager. So she's consuming and receiving tasks that are sent to the store from the operations side of the organization. She's going to be assigning work to workers that's coming in from operations. She wants to, on a daily basis, review the status of tasks, make sure that things are getting completed, nothing's overdue. Makes sure she wants to look at the workload, make sure that the workload's evenly distributed. We don't want to assign 100% of the tasks to one person and notice that we have a couple other resources who are available to us, but just currently have no tasks assigned to them. And she also wants to organize and group her tasks for that store into different categories to make sure that they're easy to see and find and just plan out that day. And last but not least, we have Lynn. So Lynn's going to take the role of a frontline worker at the store. And so when Lynn comes in on a daily basis, really what she's most interested in is she wants to see what she has to do for the day. She wants to, as quickly as possible, see what her priorities are. She wants to come in, make sure that she's actioning those critical, urgent priorities right away before going and starting other work. She wants to see what work is expected of her, what the details about those tasks are. She wants to make sure that she has a place to update the progress of her work so that her manager and, again, operations from an overall perspective is seeing the progress that's happening. She wants to be able to comment on the work that's being done, share any issues that she's having as she's working through them, make sure that's being communicated to her management and up to operations as well. And last but not least, maybe Lynn has just some personal reminders for just herself, not necessarily something related to an overall task that the store has to do, maybe just more of a personal reminder. So now I'm going to switch my screen to the demonstration. So again, the 3 different roles are, I'm going to start off with is Nestor here, who's in charge of operations for the whole company. So Nestor, again, has a couple different things that he's interested in. He wants to see a bunch of different projects in a high-level overview. So for the first thing I can do is I can go to Planner, and I can go to my Planner hub. And any of the projects that Nestor's involved in, this is a really great screen because as you get into Planner and you're using tasks, it's very detailed, and most people are interacting with these plans on an individual basis by being in the plan itself and seeing the tasks. But sometimes it's nice, especially from an operations standpoint, that I just want to see a very high level overview of all projects that I'm currently working on. And this Planner Hub gives you that exact view. You can favorite your plans here that you have access to and bookmark them up to the top of your screen. And so Nestor's going to do that so that when he's logging in on a daily basis, he's making sure that the most important projects that he's involved in and needs to be able to see the status of them is here. And he can see if there's tasks that are late on a certain project, how many are in progress, how many are not started, and he knows which teams to go contact, maybe get some updates. The next thing that Nestor, from an operations standpoint, is going to want to do is he really wants to push out responsibilities to those stores, and he wants an easy and quick way to do that to multiple different places. He doesn't want to have to create the same task 7 different times to assign it to 7 different stores. So what's available to him inside of Microsoft Teams and the new Tasks by Planner is there is a new way to see your own lists. This would be the view for yourself. But as an operations standpoint or a management standpoint that has permissions to publish tasks down to different teams that follow the hierarchy, he can come here to publish lists. He can review the lists that he's already published. He can see drafts of task lists that he's been putting together, or he can create a whole new task list here. Call it whatever he wants. So let's say it's restock PPE. This is going to come from the headquarters team, and any teams that are underneath it follow our teams that could receive these tasks. You can check glove supply, sanitizer supply. Oops. He can put these into different buckets, set priority, so I can go into this task here. Once it's saved, I can go into here, pick a bucket that I want this to fall under. Maybe this had something to do with product recalls. This is just general operation tasks coming from operations, so I'm going to pick that. I want to make sure that people are starting this on Thursday, and I need them to finish it by Friday. I can say, check the stock of all gloves and resupply if needed. We can put a checklist here. So check stock, order supplies. Once I'm done filling in my tasks, making sure I have them in the right buckets, I can go ahead and I can actually publish this out to the different stores that I want to receive it. So I'm going to hit the publish button now. So now Nestor needs to make a decision of who needs to receive these tasks. Is this something that's going to everyone? Or maybe is this just something that's going to stores that are a standard size store? Or is this going to large stores? If you see here and I drill down, you'll see as I choose my filters on the left-hand side here, the stores that are displayed change, so that this allows me to quickly narrow down the different categories of who these tasks would apply to and make sure that I can just assign them to all the different stores that would impact. Or if I want to make sure it goes to all stores, I can just select all stores underneath HQ and all regions. I can go ahead and hit next, say yes, everything's ready to go, and I'm going to publish this task list out. And now Nestor's job's done. He has quickly made 4 different copies of those 2 tasks. They've gone to the 4 different stores, and it was just 1 click. And now I have a summary here where I can come back later on towards the demo and check the progress of this. So let's switch to Adele. And like I said, Adele was taking the role of a store manager. So she is coming in on a daily basis. She's going to her team. She's going to her tasks for that store. So store 1, she's the store manager of store 1. She can see all the different critical tasks. She has them categorized by recalls, maybe products that need to be taken off the shelves, any display changes. And eventually, once this refreshes, you will see that some tasks show up here for the resupply, the PPE tasks. So I'm just going to refresh my screen. And here we go. So while I was away, I can see that there's 2 new tasks. And they went into my operations bucket automatically because that's what Nestor did as part of operations. He wanted to make sure that all things coming from operations are organized into the operations bucket. I can see these tasks here. I can click on them and I can assign somebody to them. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure Lynn is assigned to this task. And I'm also going to make sure Lynn's assigned to this task as well too. And Lynn's that frontline worker who's going to actually be working on those tasks. Another thing that Adele might need to do on a daily, weekly basis is, again, just check the tasks, open them up, see what the progress is, see if there's any comments on those tasks. She might also want to go to her charts, do a high-level overview of how her store is doing, how many tasks are late, completed, in progress, not started, right? Just helping her plan out her day, make sure that the right team are assigned to these tasks. And she can also go to the schedule here. She can see the schedule of when tasks are supposed to be started and completed. She can see anything that's unscheduled and drag it right onto her screen here. So this isn't actually scheduled. So this is an important thing. I want to make sure somebody's doing this on Friday. So if I just drag that over to my screen, now that task has been scheduled for Friday. So now let's switch over to Lynn. So Lynn, again, is that frontline worker. Lynn's coming in on a daily basis, and she wants to know what work's being assigned to her. She can go to her email, and in her email is a great way to stay up to date. She's going to be receiving emails as soon as tasks are assigned to her, letting her know that her manager assigned her a task. She can click this hyperlink and be brought into that task. Or, since email can be difficult to track, right? It's a nice point in time reminder, but Adele doesn't want to have to, Lynn doesn't want to have to constantly come back here, review her emails. They're going to get lost in all the other emails that are coming in. So an easier to use dashboard from her standpoint is she can come to Teams, come to the Tasks by Planner app here, and she has her own personalized views where it'll surface up all the tasks that are assigned to her. She can see all the important tasks. So anytime any of her tasks are being designated as urgent or important, those will show up here. Here I can see all my tasks. And then here I can see my own personal tasks.
Hey,
So
Drew,
maybe,
I'm gonna jump in right there real quick, Drew. We have a couple of questions. So
sure.
I'm gonna get Jesse to unmute and read in. Maybe you can chime in because this is all awesome, right? And we're getting let's stop the flow a little bit while we can and maybe back up a little bit. We have some initial questions. Jesse, are you with us, Jesse? Can we maybe jump in before Drew continues down with the next scenarios?
Sure thing. Yeah, one big question we're getting is this accessible via your phone and tablet?
Yes, and great question. The view would be slightly different, but Teams is in a mobile app as well. It's formatted specifically for your phone as opposed to a nice big screen like I see here. All the same apps and buttons that appear on the desktop would appear on your phone. So it does work a lot better for frontline staff who might not have a workstation, might have a shared workstation. If they have a phone or a tablet that they can use, that gives them a much easier mobile way to be moving around the store, updating the tasks in real time as they're on the floor, and reviewing the tasks and their to-do list right from their phone. So yes, definitely out of the box, Teams mobile app works.
Awesome. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought that was a great time to jump in there right before we get too deep into the demo, especially something that we could address initially. So thank you, Jesse, for adjusting with me on the fly there, team. And thank you, Drew. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. So again, Lynn's coming to her tablet, phone, laptop, desktop, whatever she has. She has these filters available to her. She can see what she has to do. She can see what's all active. She can filter her tasks to see what's late, what's due today, or she can see all her tasks, plan out her next week, right? Lots of filters available to us to make sure that we're narrowing down and focusing on different tasks. I can click on these tasks, open them up. I can check them, review them, go, okay, yep, I've checked the stock. It'll update my checklist here. I can go, okay, yeah, I've ordered supply, or maybe I don't want to say I've ordered supplies. Maybe I've checked the stock, but couldn't find the order form and wanted to make a comment just to make sure that her team's aware that she ran into an issue ordering supplies. She was about to do that, but couldn't find the order form. So now her team can go in here and check the comments, see what's holding up the process, and make sure that they resolve that, and then go ahead and help them finish that task. Lynn can also go here and see all the tasks for that store, not even the ones assigned to her. But again, this view is really important for anyone who's just needs to crunch through as many tasks on a daily basis, make sure they're actioning them. This view would show them all the tasks that are outstanding and any that are assigned to her coworkers as well too. So if we jump back to Nestor, so Nestor was head of operations, right? He's pushing out all these tasks to people, and he needs to be able to see how they're progressing. So if I switch back to the role of Nestor, go back to his screen. Here's his restock PPE task list that he sent out to the organization. He can refresh his screen here, and he'll get a live, up-to-date view of how those tasks are progressing. So he can see that at least 25% of stores have started to assign these tasks to people, but none of them have been completed yet. He can also break this out into see which stores this follows. So if I go over to Teams here, I can see the North District, half of the stores in this district have assigned staff. This one's all completed. South hasn't assigned anyone to these tasks. So if I jump back over to Lynn here, she goes to her tasks, and let's just start completing some tasks. So I can say, yep, check glove supply, and I also check the sanitizer supply. Now, once I'm done that, I can go back here, and as Nestor, part of operations, live feedback on how these tasks are progressing. If he refreshes his screen again, we will see that some of these tasks have started completing. I might be a little too fast, but they will eventually roll up for us. Let me try again here. Okay, well, I'll check that back in a minute, but just wanted to give you an overview of how the tasks are rolling up to operations. So we kind of went through the role of Nestor pushing tasks out quickly to all the different teams, Adele assigning, reviewing those tasks to her team members, checking progress, and Lynn working on the tasks, updating her progress, commenting on tasks, making sure her team's aware, and then back to Nestor, who's just checking on all those tasks. So that wraps up my demo. I am going to throw it over now to Karen. So Karen's our engagement manager here at Imaginet. She is going to walk you through how we at Imaginet have adopted these tools and how it's changed some of our processes. I gave you a little bit of a sneak preview earlier, but Karen's going to take it from there and elaborate a little bit more on how we use it.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. Karen, you with us?
Yes, I am. And I'm not going to demonstrate anything as efficiently as Drew did, but I am going to thank Drew for that demo. That was a great visual for everybody to get a glimpse as to how game-changing this has been from a operations perspective. Me from a project management perspective. Having this tool incorporated in Teams allows me to work real time with my project team as well as my customer. Assigning tasks, the accountability. I mean, in days gone by, project managers would have, tools like Microsoft Project, and those are license-based. So not everybody in an organization would have access to Microsoft Project. So it was very limited in terms of what end users would see. There would be screen grabs, there'd be exports into Excel spreadsheets and sharing of Excel spreadsheets. So having Teams and Planner now as a tool has helped me divide tasks, support my project team in delivering for our customers with assigning the task to them being accountable for their tasks, and in turn taking ownership of making sure that their tasks are done on schedule, on time, supporting us delivering a good experience to our clients.
And ultimately, Karen, that's what I was going to say. So I love the impact that we've highlighted it's had on us as the delivery team members, right? What would you feel has been, the perspective from a customer? That's ultimately the end goal, right? We want to show that value add. Does tracking, we all want to be as agile as possible, right? And we want to meet customer needs. Does this create a burden on a project? Does it impede any? So just kind of candidly, is it a lot of paperwork for little?
Not at all. It is such an intuitive, easy to use, easy to adopt tool that supports our customers seeing the progress in the project. Looking at an Excel spreadsheet with tasks marked off, or a lengthy email that has lots of to-dos is too consuming for a client who's busy and doesn't have a lot of time to spend reviewing things. The status and charts that are provided as a tool for Planner are very at a glance, at a visual, understand where the project's at, how we're proceeding. Why is it red? The red point becomes a discussion point. We get that resolved, we get unblocked, and we move ahead. It's great for status reporting. You don't have to create fancy algorithms in an Excel spreadsheet anymore. You don't have to pivot or any of that fun stuff. You can just do a screen grab and incorporate that into your status reporting. And customers find value in that. They appreciate seeing that, we have 150 tasks to achieve, but we've done 75 of them.
Right. It manages expectations and perception, right? Very transparently and intuitively.
I also find the other advantage is our team members, the project delivery team, my resources that are doing the programming and the testing and the training. It makes them accountable for their tasks, and part of the agile process is, team collaboration and nobody wants to be left behind. Everybody wants to make sure their tasks are done because they know I'm coming to get them if they're not. So I find that I'm getting real-time information as to where we are in the project. So if our customer requires a up-to-date instant time, my client's suddenly having a leadership meeting on their end and they want to know the status of the project. Because my team members are keeping their boards up to date and their tasks up to date, I'm able to reflect that information very quickly to my customers, which is a win for our clients.
Yeah, right. Making our customers' lives easier and having a steady pulse of delivery and engagement with Imaginet, right? Again, ultimate value add, makes everybody's life easier. I'm big on no stress and no fire drills, right? So I love the opportunity these tools are presenting to us now. And thank you, Karen, for your time. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I was just going to say the fact that these tools are incorporated into kind of the project team, and the way we collaborate at Imaginet is, we set up a team channel for that particular project and that client, and all the documentation and communication is in a single source. So there's no hunting around. There's no, Drew at the beginning of the conversation noted, having to open email and find out if we're using the right document. Is this the most current version? Everything that I'm using is in the same place, and it's in the same place for my team. So there's transparency. It's not just project management's that black hole. We don't know what you guys do other than tell us what to do. You can see how we're doing on the project. You can see, the status of all the tasks we've got to do, whether I'm available or not. On your screens, you can see where your tasks are and the group's tasks. Maybe you finished your work and you have some cycles where you can support a team member and take on some tasks. So it's been game changing for me.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's improved the relationships and the community within the team, right?
100%.
When we all know that current state and we all feel accountable and part of the team, then we're all truly marching towards the same goal. So yeah. Thanks for that unique perspective, Karen.
You're
Drew,
welcome.
Anything to add from your side, Drew, before we kind of switch over to the next phase of the event?
You'll make the mistake of throwing it over to me, because then we'll go over. I'll let any more questions and answers come in. But yeah, we could talk about teams and tasks for quite a long time. Just wanted to give everyone a brief intro, kind of get some ideas going, give you some ideas of how it could impact you. The demo I gave you obviously was kind of particular to a very specific retail-based operation, right? But the same process hopefully applies to lots of different organizations. Flowing of tasks really typically comes in different forms, right? Instead of restocking the shelves, it might be new logos need to be updated on documentation, stuff like that. It's just a quick, brief overview of showing how easy it is to push out multiple tasks to a wide range of teams, and kind of what that is to your organization can be specific and changed for you.
And it's very versatile. Setting up your board and your tasks, you can call what Microsoft calls tasks. They have buckets, and those buckets can be renamed anything to your org. So you can from a project management perspective use a real, from an agile perspective, you can have your backlog, you can have to do, in progress, done. You can kind of design your experience as you need it for your organization. It's very helpful, and it's so intuitive. I'm the least technical person on the technical team that I support, and I can use this very, very easily, and it helps me get my message across to my team members, and they don't have to facepalm every time I have a conversation with them. And I'm not sending them Excel spreadsheets anymore.
Well, what I was going to say, Karen, is that hopefully from my perspective, very candidly, right, we're kind of riffing here. I love that it eliminates can you give me the status of the project email on our Thursday evening or Friday morning, right? It just saves that frustration and me trying to condense everything we've done in the week to one email for you to try to dissect and get it to when you need, right? It just allows us to, like you said, real time, know where we're at and what we're working on. And ultimately, we all want to help each other, right?
Yeah.
We just want to do it in the manner and the means that we feel comfortable in, and hopefully tasks, right, in teams is one viable solution.
100%. And there's a number of different ways of getting to it. You know, you can use Teams, you can use tasks in Teams, or you can you can use the web app. There's multiple different ways of getting that information to support how you would operate as a business. It doesn't necessarily have to all be done in Teams. It's more collaborative in Teams from my team's perspective, from our group and how we work, because Teams has become, you know, our lifeline to running projects. But there are other ways to access this information.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting, even with onboarding new teammates, right? Teams has become critical to so many of our core business operation processes, right? It's not just the tool we use to communicate or deliver projects in. It's starting to be adopted as how we run our back end operations and organizations. And I think that's kind of some of the justification for these type of live events, right? Is not let's just sell you how you could do teams or tasks within Teams, right? Professional service provider to possible customer. But that's where we wanted to bring Karen in to have that unique perspective. And how has it impacted her from her two hats, right? She plays one of the roles of Nestor as well as an operations leader here within our organization. So we thought Karen really brought a unique perspective to the table of how the same application in Teams, like to Drew's point, can help improve various business processes within your organization. And with that, we're going to switch to our Q&A portion, right? Do want to do a quick time check, right? So we are coming up on about quarter of the hour. So with that, do we have any Q&A, Jesse? How do we want to move forward with our Q&A?
Yeah, we have a couple things. So first off, just to make sure it's clear, the publish list tab won't show up in your planner or tasks app until you've done a setup of your team targeting hierarchy. So there's a link in the chat now for that, kind of walking through that process. And once that's complete, then that task publishing tab will show up, and you'll be able to configure that stuff further.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, as long as you're a member of a team that has teams underneath it in that hierarchy that Jesse was talking about, then you'll be able to publish tasks down. So depending on how many levels there are to your hierarchy, right? Nestor was taking the role of being a member of the HQ team, and the regions and sub-stores were underneath that hierarchy. So if somebody, for instance, in the North region wanted to publish a task, they would be able to publish tasks to all stores within their region. So it takes the permissions of the team and allows you to push them down to any teams below that.
Right. An additional question, Drew. I know you're saying that Nestor can come and look at the dashboard there for tasks and see where things are at and everything. Is there any additional reporting that can be done? Like, is that something that can be exported to Excel, or maybe use Power BI to leverage some additional resources and do reporting in that way?
Great question. I haven't had the pleasure of going through those scenarios yet. It is a fairly new feature available from Microsoft Teams. I think it is only a few months old, so it's a little new. Whether you can query that with Power BI is a good question. I'd love to look into that after this and see if there's anything that we can do to pull that information out. But all the reports currently out of the box are the ones that I showed you, where it'll surface up the statuses of those task lists in that manner.
Right.
Go ahead, Jesse. Sorry.
I was going to say, well, besides the targeted ones, the publishing tasks, just tasks in general, though, like we'd be able to use Power BI to kind of point at those endpoints and pull in reports and everything. Yes,
we do. There is a lot of APIs available to you in Office 365 to query using. I'm trying to think what it's called off the top of my head. It's called. It's one of the API. What's that API called, Jesse? Now it's escaping me.
The Graph API?
The Graph API is the API to everything. So yes, that does let you query all sorts of data and surface it in whatever manner you need to.
Since we're touching on querying right now in the Graph API, I wanted to jump in during the demo, Drew. That might be a good thing to highlight that, you know, we do have to buffer in the time for the search engine to run, right? So it's not automatic, right? When we make those updates now within the task application within Teams, right? We do have to allow, like you said, Drew, time for the Graph API to run, the search engine to crawl, right? With those APIs we're used to things being a little more, not necessarily real time, but instantaneous, right? So I think that was something that we wanted to highlight there, right? Is that a lot of this information is being driven by that Graph API. So I think the extent, Jesse, of how far down the analytics path can we get with tasks in Power BI? I think that is a great question. Any other questions that we've received right now, Jesse, from the group?
Not right now, no.
Okay, so one thing I'd like to recommend, team, is maybe we can document up our responses to the question for Mercy to provide along with the link. So anything that was specifically submitted and addressed today, we can include that in and make sure that we accurately wrap up the Q&A for our attendees today. If there is something that does come up, once you hang up the call, right, that's always the time that if I would have had a chance to talk to them, I would have asked about this, or what if this happens, right? So we want to make sure that we do provide the opportunity for anybody that did register and attend to have an opportunity to continue the relationship and the conversation with us, right? Part of what I believe as a longtime member of the SharePoint community is that we are a true ecosystem and a community, and we do try to help each other, right? So any questions you have, we are a continuous improvement organization, right? So again, thank you for taking time out of your day today. Thank you for investing your lunch hour with Imaginet, right? If there are ways that we can improve, if there's things you did not like about the event or things you could think we could do better, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love to get that constant, candid feedback. All of our resources will be shared on our website and on our blog. And again, please follow us on all the typical social, right? Again, if you have any questions, Jesse's going to post our email address into the meeting chat right now. So the live event chat will have our info@imaginet.com. That way you can reach out to us. And last but not least, want to wrap it up with our ultimate sales services part here, just to highlight some of the skills and services that we do have. Again, yes, specific to tasks like today's topic was, but just the Microsoft Teams platform as a whole. So one of the main opportunities, depending on where your organization is in your roadmap with Teams adoption, one quick way to get started is with our 5-day business process automation quick start, where we tackle, like we talked about, a very finite, specific piece of workload, whether that's task management for planning a live event, right? Expense report processing, external vendor PO sharing, whatever that process might be. We take a very spear tip focus on that business process for dedicated 5 days with an Imaginet consultant. And we take that process, we document it out, we agree on what the target is, and we implement a modern solution for that workload within the Microsoft Teams platform. We also have experience with file share content migrations, whether that's personal drives, network file shares, departmental drives, team sites, right? We've done many migrations from many different platforms, so we like to summarize that to whatever the file share content might be for you and your organization. We can provide recommendation and guidance and coaching on how to successfully migrate to SharePoint Online or the Teams application. We also pride ourselves on our governance and sustainability in providing long-term user adoption and sustainable services on the Microsoft 365 platform. We are comfortable creating Teams bots, custom solutions, workflows, Teams apps, basically summarizing to the last point that we're comfortable partnering with you and your organization on a full-scale Teams implementation, whether we're tackling collaboration, voice, or live event, video, and broadcasting. The Imaginet team has been with the Teams product since day one, so we have a lot of experience in early adoption and successful change management and user adoption. So if there's anything that we've talked about today, high level, low level, future, what do we think? Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can interact with us on our website at imaginet.com, or like Jesse just put in the event chat at info@imaginet.com. Again, we thank you for your time today. Thank you for choosing to invest your lunch hour with Imaginet. And we thank you for your time today. Everyone have a great afternoon.